Welcome to another special edition of Between the Studs.
We are here in our 15,000 square foot showroom at Granite Ridge Builders in the plumbing area with all these gorgeous faucets we love to pick from.
Well, we've been excited to bring you weekly updates on our beautiful new home, the Monaco, located in Shadow Creek. So we're excited. This is over 10,000 square feet, this home, and we're going to go into more detail on what's going on at this home right now. So we have just wrapped up the framing stage, and now we're moving on to the plumbing stage, which is a crucial stage when it comes to construction.
Well, speaking of plumbing and fixtures, we've spent hours in this section of our building, days, weeks, picking out all the different fixtures for this house.
I promise this is not a weapon. This is a gorgeous, wonderful faucet, but we do have a lot of fun with it. There are so many things to think about when it comes to the bathrooms for this home. We have 7.5 baths. So we have 3 tile showers, several fiberglass showers. We have 17 sinks in this home. I mean, there's a lot to think about.
There sure is. And all of these bathrooms, I think, are spa retreats, but especially the owner's suite. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when designing the shower in there. The tile selections, the door selections, the hardware or the faucets in that bathroom. So a lot of things to think about to give it the right feel.
With that many bathrooms and sinks, there's so many fixtures to think about, and it really does make that detail, that we pay so much attention to the detail because it makes such a big difference, whether it's shower heads or toilet paper holders, all of the stuff.
Now going back to the master shower, I cannot wait to see this come to life. The tile selection is beautiful, but we have amazing fixtures that we've put in there. From the shower heads to the 4 jets, so you have almost a car wash shower, to even a steam shower. How wonderful does that sound?
Welcome to Between the Studs. We are Granite Ridge Builders, custom builders serving northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, and also parts of southern Michigan. We have been building custom homes for almost 2 decades, and we're really passionate about what we do. So join us today as we explore the processes, the trends, and also tips that characterize today's new home. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we got to get this show started, guys.
What?
Easy, my goodness.
What are you doing?
If we're gonna be authentic, we really gotta talk about it. This is what the reality is, right?
No, come on. We got to change it. Help us. Why does he look like the thinker?
I can't sit next to you.
Come on, like you don't do that? Take your time. What?
Welcome back. We are in the process of building one of the most amazing houses we've ever done over in Shadow Creek called the Monaco. And the process we're going to talk about today is the mechanical stage. Maybe not as exciting, but we find it exciting, and we're going to be talking about the plumbing.
So let's unpack that mechanical stage. When we refer to that on our job sites, it could be referred to as mechanical stage, rough-in stage, and that's where the HVAC crews are going to move in, our plumbing crews, our electrical, and our AV. And they're going to run everything that's in behind the walls and in between the ceilings and the floors. And so that's why we call it that rough-in stage. We're getting all that stuff inside the walls. It's all before the finished pieces go on. And today we're going to focus on just one of those particular items, which is the plumbing.
Certainly we take plumbing for granted. Today we expect clean, fresh water to come into our homes, and also we expect the wastewater to go out. We take that for granted. You know, less than 200 years ago, there was no such thing as indoor plumbing. And the water that came in, it came in lead pipes, which should actually cause poisoning. Yeah. And the toilet, well, it was in the backyard. And guys, I actually remember some of those toilets.
Oh, the outhouse, absolutely, the outhouse.
Yeah.
Well, let's define plumbing. So plumbing is any system that conveys water from one place to another. Plumbing system typically uses pipes to convey that water or any sort of fluid. It uses valves, plumbing fixtures, and any other apparatus, pumps to move that water along from one place to another.
And there's going to be 3 different types of systems that are used in every Granite Ridge home, especially here in the Monaco. And that's going to be potable water, that's going to be your drinking water. There's going to be water removal or water waste removal, and then storm water removal. So all 3 of those systems are really important to make sure that the house functions properly.
So let's take the Wayback Machine back to the Roman Empire where it all began. The origin of the word plumber dates back to the Roman Empire between 500 BC and 455 AD. The Roman Empire developed complex, ancient plumbing systems along with the aqueducts, underground sewers, public baths, bronze and lead piping, and even marble fixtures. The Latin for lead is plumbum. So the word plumbing and plumber came from the extensive use of lead piping.
Unfortunately, after the fall of Rome in 455 AD, there was not innovation or emphasis on clean potable water, wastewater systems, storm systems. So this led to over 1,000 years of health concerns.
So nothing relevant with plumbing really happened until around the 1600s. So we're going to give you some dates and tell you some of the significant things that happened. First of all, in 1546, this was big, Sir John Harington, who is the godson of Queen Elizabeth I, invented basically a very, very crude toilet. It basically had a seat, it had a water cistern, and it had a bowl. That was it. And because of this, they started calling it the John.
Oh, man.
That's where that word came from.
I thought it was supposed to be the Queen's throne.
Oh, yeah, that could have been too.
Well, Antonio, it was about 200 years later in 1775 that Alexander Cummings came up with the first, what we would call modern toilet. So from the tank to the trap, he created this S-trap, which most of us can still see that on the side of our toilets. And what that allowed it to do was that's what kept the water inside the bowl, making it easier to clean, but also locked all that smell on the bottom side of that toilet, so none of those sewage gas could come back into that room.
We like him.
Yes.
So here's a stud tip for you guys. If you walk into a bathroom or some sort of plumbing room and you smell a sewage smell coming up, what likely has happened is that water from that S-trap has dried out. So just run a little water through, flush the toilet, and then it'll fill that S-trap back up and it'll trap those sewage gases down.
Remember, that can do it in your laundry one too. That sometimes people don't use for a long time.
You can also pinch your nose.
In 1804, Philadelphia became the first city to use cast iron pipes to get the water throughout the city. And in 1833 was the first year that we had running water in the White House.
Wow.
In 1855, it was Chicago that created the first comprehensive sewage disposal system. Then in 1891, Thomas Crapper.
You're not really going there, are you, Lonnie?
He invented the valve and siphon system that we still use in toilets today. Then in World War I, you say, well, how did the name Crapper get associated with the toilet? Well, Thomas Crapper in 1891 and shortly thereafter during World War I, he actually created and provided toilets for the U.S. Army. And wouldn't you know, he put his name on the outside of the toilet. Crapper. And so people begin to say, I am going to the Crapper.
And that's a fact that his great-great-grandson loves to this day.
This show's going to the crapper.
It's awful.
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Let's go to 1966. Now we're coming out of another wartime effort, and we didn't have as much of the natural supplies that they needed, like copper, which was one thing that was used a lot in the toilets. So that's when they started switching it over, and this is when you first started seeing plastics happening with the toilet.
Well, thank heavens. We have made a lot of improvements in plumbing in the last 100 years. You know, back in the 40s, only 45% of homes had indoor plumbing. Wow. 50s and 60s, people had one, maybe, if your house was spectacular, you had 1.5 baths. Now it's just standard to have 2, 3, maybe more bathrooms in a single family home.
How many do we have in the Monaco?
A lot.
Oh, just 7.5. You know, no one's counting.
Yeah, now fast forwarding to today, our homes, including the Monaco, have kind of a combination of, for our water supply, we mainly use PEX lines as opposed to copper. Copper used to be what we use quite often.
So what's PEX again for the audience? I think isn't that plastic type?
No, these are your PEX.
That's what I thought.
Yes, it is a plastic, and what's nice about the PEX plastic, and I know Elizabeth and I are going to go out to the Monaco and explain this a little bit more in detail, but it is a little bit more of a flexible plastic, which allows us to go through walls, ceilings, those type of things without having near as many joints as you would if you were using PVC or copper, where you have to solder all those together. So it's a little bit easier for us and a lot less areas for leaks, and it's a little less susceptible to freezing than it would be copper. If copper freezes at all, you're going to get a break in the line. PEX can have a little bit of flexibility to it. Now, on the PVC side, we're using that mainly for our wastewater. So, you know, on the bottom side of a toilet, it's going to transition to PVC, and it's going to find its way to the curb and eventually down to the city. But we still do use a little bit of copper. You'll see a little bit of copper with our water heaters, a little bit of copper with our hose bibs. So copper hasn't been completely eliminated. So you're going to get really those three things: PEX, PVC, and copper on our new homes.
I think what's crazy is that since 1960, more than 28 billion feet, or about 5.3 million miles of copper plumbing tube has been installed in U.S. buildings. That's equivalent to a coil wrapping around the earth more than 200 times.
Wow. And guys, the Monaco is adding to that number too. If you add up all of the PEX, copper, PVC that we have in the Monaco, it's about 6 miles worth. So it could get us from our office here to the Monaco and back.
That'd be interesting, dragging it all the way. You know, the average American uses 82 gallons of water a day. I wish they could tell that to the people in my house because they definitely use more than that. Also, we waste a lot. So as you're waiting for a water heater to, you turn on faucet, waiting for that water to get hot, you waste about 9,000 gallons of water, which means you're spending about, that's for a year, not
For a
a
shower?
day. Yeah, I mean, I just want to point that out. That means you're spending about 15% of your utility costs, your heating costs, on water that you're not even using. Wow.
That's why in many of our Granite Ridge homes, we use a tankless on-demand system, so you're only paying for what you use. Now over in the Monaco, we have 3 of these, plus a recirculating pump.
And by the way, in the home, 38% of water usage is associated with flushing the toilet. We've got to cut down on the swirlies. And in the Monaco, we're actually going to install these low flow toilets and save 18,000 gallons per year.
Wow.
Well, that'll come in handy when the average person sits on the toilet for about 3 years of their life.
Do you think that applies to you?
Depends on what I'm reading. I don't know.
Okay, I got a fun fact for you. What do you think the most item that is flushed on a toilet to clog it would be? It could be toys, that's a lot, but it's not.
Wow.
It's your phone, your iPhone. You get up, it's in your pocket, whatever, but that's what...
Is that a warranty claim?
Have you guys ever wondered where the phrase potty came from?
No.
Because Kayla, we're potty training Oakland right now, and every time we need her to go, we say, hey, let's go to the potty, That traces all the way back to where they used chamber pots instead of toilets. They didn't have indoor plumbing, so they used chamber pots, and that's where it stems from.
Did you know that the word toilet came from the word toilette in French, which also is translated to chamber pot?
I think there's just a lot of different words for the toilet around everything. Why don't we break down some of the different ones that are being used out there?
Well, for example, bathroom is a polite way to draw attention to the toilet. Restroom or washroom, you're alluding to the use of a toilet.
Another popular men's room or ladies' room, and one I don't know that any of us have been into is the gents' room or gentleman's room.
That's definitely not mine.
I'm not welcome there.
The term water closet, now that originated from the 1870s when they were called wash-down closets. We also have powder rooms. That one was from the 1700s when men would go and powder their wigs, and then eventually it turned into women powdering their nose.
Well, you have guest baths or half baths. Did you know that the word John, people calling it John, you kind of alluded to it, Tony, came from Sir John Harrington. It had to do with the first flushable toilet he made for the Queen, which is why I think we should call them all loos. I'm very proper and fancy. I'm going to the loo.
The Irish would take that John and they turned it into Jack and then Jake, so that all came from the word John.
What about gym? I like to call it the gym because then Elizabeth and I can say, hey, we went to the gym first thing this morning.
That's terrible. Another word that the Scottish use is privy for private area.
The lavatory is a medieval formal term for the restroom, and then the next is the latrine. That's a military origin there.
And the military also, the Navy had a different name for it though, and they would call it the head because it was at the head of the ship. So when the waves would come up against the boat, it would help try to rinse and keep things clean.
You know what? Something we see at a lot of our construction sites? Porta potties. In Florida, there's a porta potty company, and it's called, can't even say it, Duty Calls.
Wow. Okay. That's good. You can't make this stuff up, guys.
And they say men have second grade humor. Come on.
Well, when you think about the porta potty, it does resemble an old outhouse, or a commode, or a stool, or the throne.
Since the beginning of time, people have been very discreet and careful when they needed to announce they needed to go to the toilet. I lived in Russia in the 90s, and I didn't know that, and you say, hey, where's the bathroom? They, what? you would whisper toilet or bathroom. That just didn't talk about it. Also, in Egypt, in the early days, the toilet was known as the house of horror. I can relate to that.
My favorite, though, was from the Roman Empire when they called it the necessarium.
Ooh. Well, the French would call it la chambre sainte, which means smelly house. Okay, I think we've had enough of this John humor and whatever you want to call it. We got to get out to the Monaco. We have 8 toilets out there. Let's go name them. How's that?
The Monaco will be serviced by public water provided by Huntertown.
Yep.
And we take that for granted, but there's water line, main lines that run around this subdivision. It's probably a loop system to keep the pressure constant. And from the main line, then we tap it, and we're running not 1, but 2 1-inch lines in this house.
Yeah.
Because of the water needs.
Exactly. Typically, we'd only need 1 for a house, and you know, a lot of us have seen that out in our yard, a little cast iron thing that says water on it, sometimes spray painted blue. That's the shutoff. So that's how they're able to shut the water on and off to your house. But you can see behind me, there is a blue line here. That's the one of our 2 1-inch lines that need to service this house. And that's all because of how much water we're gonna need. So just in the master bath alone, we've got a steam shower. We've got a 100-gallon stone soaker tub, right? And then, you know, we got several washers in this house.
Standard shower with 2 heads at least, okay? Yep.
Several kitchens, right? And irrigation running around the side of the house. So there's just a lot of usage points that we need to make sure that if, you know, somebody's downstairs, you know, taking a shower, or somebody's upstairs starting to load a washer, they're not going to lose that pressure.
And I also know that at nighttime, a lot of times you say count sheep, it'll help you go to sleep. In this case, you count the toilets. You're going to fall asleep because there's a lot of them.
There is. So that blue line, we're going to trench all the way to the house, and it goes down into our basement where it'll tie into a water meter. And they used to have the water meters where, you know, guy had to come around and look at your water meter, take you know, and then they used to have it where the guy had to drive around, and his truck they would send a signal to his truck. It's all cellular now, so it all sends it downtown, so everybody knows exactly how much water is being used. So that has been some things that have changed recently. Now, with this blue line that's behind me, you can see there's a smaller blue line that we're going to wrap right next to it as we trench that line. That is solely for the purpose of a tracer wire. So when you guys, you call locates and they come out and they're waving their little wand thing, that'll pick up that there's a plastic pipe in the ground because it's got that metal wire running with it.
And that that way, if you're going to do some landscaping or something, and you've got a post hole digger down there, you don't want to dig where they've marked the lines because you're going to create a problem.
Yes. Man, look at that.
It's massive. Wow.
And we got 2 of them, right? We needed 2 of them for this house.
All right, guys, we're going to continue our talk on plumbing here, and obviously you can see beside us we have a massive, massive water heater. Now, you may not recognize this as a water heater because it's several times larger than the one that I have in my home. So what do we have here, Luke?
Yeah, on this Monaco, we've had so many locations where hot water was going to be a necessity, especially in that master bath. We've got that large stone tub, we've got a steam shower, and not to mention all the laundry rooms we have. So we needed to make sure that at no point that whoever ends up living here would run out of hot water. And our standard is a tank type unit with a power vent on the top, which we've used for years. It's a gas, works fantastic. Now another option that our homeowners can choose, and it's this little portion right here, is a tankless unit. Now is where a tank unit is going to have hot water constantly in a reserve tank like this one. So in this case, we looked at this, we said, okay, what do we need? And we looked at the tankless units and we said we were gonna need 6 of them on this house, which just seems so excessive. We would have needed a gas line so big to this house just to support that. So what we're putting in this house is what is called a hybrid system. So we have a tankless unit that is connected to an electric water heater. And this is 100 gallons. And then we got another 100 gallon behind, so 200 gallons of hot water that are available at any time. May seem like a lot, but just that stone tub up in the master would deplete this entire tank in of itself. So this is going to replace the hot water in this whenever it's called for. We were able to get by with this system in 2 different locations and 1 other little tankless in a 3rd location to provide all the hot water we need for this house.
All right, Luke, we're down here in the basement continuing our talks on plumbing. I'm seeing a whole bunch of lines here, and normally we would see a mana block on the wall here, but I don't see that. What do we have going on?
Right, traditionally on our homes we do what's called a manifold or a mana block system where every fixture has its own line that runs to it from there. In this house, again, because of the size, we went with a different system. It's more called a branch and trunk system. So you're going to have a larger line, similar to like this size, running through areas, and then smaller lines will tee off of it. So you've got the trunk and then branches off of it from there.
These feed off based off of what the water needs are
Exactly.
for the space.
Yep. So a toilet's going to be a little bit bigger than like a standard like faucet or something like that. But what that does provide us is the ability to do a recirculating pump. On a traditional manifold, because it goes from point A to point B and that's it, we can't do a recirculating pump. On the branch and trunk, the trunk can come all the way back around and we can recirculate hot water so you can get hot water quicker to those locations.
So you wouldn't have to turn your sink on and wait for the water to get warm before you can use it. It would just be hot water, essentially on demand.
Yeah, and you said that term on demand. That gets sometimes a little misconstrued in our industry. On demand, a lot of people think, oh, you turn on the faucet and then immediately it's hot water. We can do that, but it requires a separate unit directly underneath that sink. This, you still would have to have it run from wherever the trunk is. You'd have to bleed out the branch side of things.
Gotcha.
So you're talking seconds, not minutes. And a house this big, you could
would
maybe
take
2-3 minutes before you finally would get hot water. So it does provide some additional, and you don't waste near as much water. It's a greener feature. And with these massive water heaters we have, that recirculating pump is built right in with them.
Well, Luke, what I love right now out here is in each room in this home, we have our vision board.
Yeah.
So every room you walk into, you can see what it's going to look like. We have our vanity, we have our wainscoting, our plumbing features, and what about this wallpaper?
I'm not so sure about the wallpaper, but I trust our decorators.
Wait till it's done. Now, before we get to this, we have to do all of this, and we're going to talk about the plumbing and what goes into plumbing a bathroom and plumbing your home.
Yeah, so we're standing in one of the half baths here on the main floor. There are 8 total bathrooms in this house, so you'll never have a problem when nature calls finding a bathroom. And in this room, it's going to be a half bath. So where you're standing, Elizabeth, would be a vanity, right? So able to wash your hands from the sink there. Where I'm standing would be the stool. So for both of those, we need to have water supplies. Now the stool, we would only need a cold water line, but for the vanity, we would need 2 water lines, hot and cold.
Okay, Luke, when we stand in this house, it's amazing to see all the plumbing lines that are running through it. And I think you said we're just shy of 1 mile.
Yeah, just shy of 1 mile for all of the PVC and PEX that are in this house.
Okay, so behind us right now, right here, we have the PVC, which stands for polyvinyl chloride. And Luke, this is coming over to our vanity.
Correct, yep. So the drain for the sink will go right into this pipe. It'll go down from here, but you'll notice that it does tee and it goes up as well. And that portion of it is actually providing fresh air for any of these vanities and toilets, especially the toilets. If we didn't have that there and we flushed a toilet, it would gurgle really bad because it's trying to make up air as it's going down. This provides the air. The other thing it does is if there's any sewer gases that were to leak back into the house, it bypasses all of the interior plumbing and it goes out the roof and you would never smell it. So that's what those little pipes are coming out on your roof, is it's just air providing for our plumbing to make sure it doesn't gurgle and it doesn't get trapped up without having that make up air.
Okay, so now behind us we have our PEX line, which is our cross-linked polyethylene. So we have 2 lines running to our sink, like you said, we have a hot and a cold, and then we also have the cold running to our toilet.
Right, and all of those go back to our mana block system, kind of like how an electric panel works.
And you'll get into it, but one thing we love about this system is you can shut just your toilet off, just your sink. So this is a great system. It's been around since the 80s. It's pretty common now. For a while, about 20 years ago, people were skeptical. And Luke, it's exciting to see all of this come together, but we really can't wait till we can see it all finished like we see here on our vision board.
Right, I know, plumbing's not that exciting, but it's gonna look beautiful when it's all said and done.
Well, Luke, everywhere I go, I have at least 2 cups, and my husband always makes fun of me, but I'm never going to be dehydrated.
You're absolutely right. I mean, around our office, those Stanley cups are everywhere. And yes, people are more conscious about how much water they're drinking, and we've incorporated that into a very specific spot at the Monaco here.
And Luke, I'm really excited because down in this basement in the hallway, we have a water bottle filling station. This is filtered water.
Right, and I kind of called that section of the basement kind of our wellness area because where that's located is directly outside of the golf simulator room, directly outside of the workout room, directly cat a corner from the sauna room, and just down the hall from the wine cellar also. So again, that whole area, you got, whether you're working out your golf swing or working out with weights, you're gonna have that drink filling station right outside there.
Well, Luke, it's a good thing with that filling station that we have 8 toilets in this house.
Well, I have bad news for you. Those 8 toilets aren't working yet, so you have to use the porta-john.
Oh, man.
Okay, I think this has been a very interesting or maybe even controversial show today. But what were some of your interesting things that you found today?
Well, I found it fascinating that the word plumbing came from the Latin word lead.
And that's one thing to keep in mind right now. If you have a home that was built or is older than 1980, you may want to check out your piping to make sure that you don't have any lead piping through there, because it could really damage your health.
How about the skills of our trade partners out there, though? Watching those plumbers work, you know how much hard work, technicality, and all of the thought process that goes into that.
We're lucky at Granite Ridge Builders. We have great plumbers that work on all of our homes, and of course, great plumbers out at the Monaco getting this home finished.
Did you know that Albert Einstein said that if he had to do it over again, he would have been a plumber instead of a physicist?
Ooh.
I think it's good for us that he did not.
Yes,
I agree.
And he's actually a member of the Honorary Pipe and Plumber Fitters Union.
You know, there's a lot of big stars out there who got their start first by being a plumber, one of which is Joe Cocker, the other is Ozzy Osbourne. Now, the little known fact about Ozzy is he was a plumber, but he got arrested for not using plumbing because he actually relieved himself on the side of the Alamo and got himself arrested. I know, it's Ozzy, you're surprised.
Where's Thomas Crapper when you need him?
He's in the duty call.
And now it's actually called Charity Booty Duty Call.
Well, with all this, you can't forget the most famous plumbers of all, Mario and Luigi, the Mario Brothers. Here we go.
Oh my goodness.
True.
They were in a hurry to go to the
There was
crapper.
toilet paper stuck to your shoe there.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I think we've had enough of these semi-jokes. Kayla, would you close for us quickly?
Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do so well, please pick up the phone and give us a call. Visit our website, or even better yet, come in our doors. We'd love to talk to you all about our new home, the Monaco.
And if you want to understand why this is here now, stay tuned for the bloopers because you're gonna make it all make sense.
Hey, we got it.
And by the way, the networks are never gonna let us air the show.
Good luck getting this past the censor board.
Oh, living. I cannot wait to see this shower come to life because it is a his and her shower. Oh, I don't want to say that. Shush. Shush.
Oh, flush it first.
It is he, man. Let's get there with water.
I can't believe we're doing this.
This show's gonna stink.
And also, we expect the wastewater to go out. We take that for granted.
So let's define plumbing. So plumbing.
Excuse me, I have more to say.
Visit our website, or even better yet, come on in our doors. We would love. I'm sorry. Come on in our bathroom.
I think why we do so well. And why we do what we do.
I can't.
Why do we do what we do so
We
well?
don't do it very well.
Oh, that's what you should say. Why we do what we do so well.
What we do and why we do what we do so well. Please. I got it all in there that time.
Doo-doo.
Just say do. Come on.
Don't say doo-doo.
That's what I always say. What we do and why.
You know what, Izzy? Stay in there.
I don't want to know where that
We'll just move the toilet.
We just moved the toilet.
You stay over there.
Focus on her.
There we go. All right, Izzy.